More than 2,000 international guests are already in Venezuela to accompany the Bolivarian people to the swearing-in of President Nicolas Maduro for the 2025-2031 term this January 10th. President of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, said that her government has been focused on restoring the dignity of the nation after addressing for the first time the capture of the coup leader, General Romeo Vasquez. In Palestine, a new attack by the Israeli occupation forces killed at least 3 people on Monday night. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. More than 2,000 international guests are already in Venezuela to accompany the Bolivarian people to the swearing-in of President Nicolas Maduro for the 2025-2031 term, this January 10th. This is what the head of state said in a meeting held on Monday in Caracas, capital of the country, with different governmental structures. Maduro assures that the Venezuelan revolution is based on the popular power and its inspiration is in the epopeia of its heroes. Our inspiration is Bolivar, not Washington. His words refer to the intense tour that the extreme Venezuelan right is making with threats to national interests by every extreme right-wing leader who has received them. In Venezuela, the Minister of Interior, Diosdado Cabello, walked through neighborhoods near Miraflores and spoke about his perceptions in the midst of threats made by the far right.
Como siempre, el fascismo termina desconociendo los resultados del pueblo.
As always, fascism didn't recognize the electoral results. They wanted to use force, but failed. Now, we don't trust them. There is no good faith on their behalf. We are prepared for any circumstances. They bring mercenaries and we have to work against that. We have captured so far 125 mercenaries from 25 countries. They might enter the country, but it'll be difficult for them to get out. If they try to do something, we will respond accordingly. We don't trust their good faith. They say they will bring their force against the Venezuelan people.
Meanwhile, peace reigns in Venezuela despite the far right's destabilizing attempts ahead of President Maduro's inauguration ceremony next January 10th. Far-right and fugitive from the Venezuelan justice, Mundo González Urrutia, has been reportedly meeting these days with neo-fascists and representatives of imperial powers in order to carry out his fascist plans against the Venezuelan institutionality and rule of law. In the meantime, the people of the South American nation breathe peace and order in complete popular civic and military union. On the other hand, the Bolivarian National Armed Forces continue to deploy to guarantee internal security and territorial integrity in all strategic points of the Venezuelan territory ahead of the arrival of presidents and international guests who will attend the January 10th presidential inauguration. In Ecuador, the families of the 4 miners killed by a military patrol in Guayaquil were waiting for an apology from the Ministry of Defense. Instead, the judge in the case received a threat. Defense Minister Giancarlo Lofredo called a national press conference to express support for the armed forces again. Lofredo had assured that there was no operation until the camera showed it. He also said that children were stealing, which was never proved, and blamed their parents for not taking care of them. In this context, the government threatens Judge Tanya Lur Sombrano, assuring that the qualification of forced disappearance is unfair.
As I prove it with this document, this transmission is being made on January 6, 2025, within the established term in the schedule of maximum audience, and on national channel, thus complying with the sentence. Madam Judge, I have complied with what you ordered. However, we will go as far as possible to penalize your actions. since you have given way to political persecution, and I will not allow your sentence to be used to humiliate the armed forces that works for peace and respect of human lives.
We now have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The President of Honduras, Xiomara Castro, said that her government has been focused on restoring the dignity of the nation after addressing for the first time the capture of coup leader General Romeo Vasquez. President Xiomara Castro declared that her party, Libertad y Refundación Nacional, has managed to recover the trust of the Honduran people in the politics and institutionality of the state after 12 years under the government of corruption and drug trafficking. Castro also rejected the opinion position by the right-wing media, which describes the capture of Vasquez as an alleged political persecution. Likewise, the head of state said that her administration is oriented to guarantee projects for the benefit of citizens.
No solo se robaron el dinero, se robaron las esperanzas.
They not only stole the money, they stole the hopes, and they stole the confidence in the politicians. Today, this party is recovering even that. The confidence in the deputies, in the mayors, in the ministers, in the institutionality of a state. Even that is being recovered. Do not come to me and say that nothing has been done. And now that they see that this institutionality is working, they say, political persecution. You can imagine how far the cynicism goes, because they are used to that.
In this context, President Castro stressed that her administration has been aimed at governing for the benefit of her people with projects that she has managed to implement throughout the national territory.
Por eso les digo, se equivocan. Se equivocaron durante 12 años.
That is why I tell you, they made a mistake during 12 years. They had the time to earn the people's trust. Today, this woman who speaks to you is demonstrating how to govern for the people, with the people, with projects for the benefit of the people. In every corner of our country, although the indifferent do not want to see, but they do listen. There are projects that come in one way or another, that are for the benefit of their communities.
And Honduran pushes General Romeo Vasquez was transferred to the National Penitentiary of Tamara while waiting to attend his first trial hearing. Police also transferred Venancio Cervantes and Carlos Puerto to the National Penitentiary. The three former military officers are accused of the crimes of homicide and of inflicting serious injuries to Isis Obed, Murillo, and Alex Zavala during a violently repressed demonstration on July 5, 2009. The former head of the armed forces was denied the benefit of bail and to defend himself at liberty and will await the initial hearing of the case for which he is accused in police custody. The hearing is scheduled to be held on January 10th. In Haiti, a police officer was killed by unidentified armed gangs on Sunday night in Delma 39, Port-au-Prince. Local media report that the murder victim was identified as Jean Woody Villemont, who was assigned to the Financial Affairs Directorate of Judicial Police. In this context, the commander of support to the Haitian security mission asked the gangs to hand in their weapons and surrender after a new military contingent from Guatemala arrived in the country. He also highlighted the strengthening of the country's police force and thanked for the international support and equipment provided. The Public Ministry of Peru filed 2 unconstitutionality lawsuits before the court following the approval of 2 laws that interfere with the independence of the prosecutor's work. On Monday, Attorney General Delia Espinosa informed that several laws have been passed, transferring the investigation of certain crimes which are the responsibility of the Public Prosecutor's Office to the National Police. She added that Law 32.107 specifies the application and scope of crime against humanity and war crimes in Peruvian legislation. The other lawsuit filed is against Law 32.130, which strengthens the investigation of crimes as a function of the Peruvian National Police and expedites criminal proceedings. The U.S. President Joe Biden attended a church service to meet with family members of the victims of the deadly New Year's Eve ramming crash in New Orleans. Biden, along with the First Lady, held a private meeting with the families of 14 deceased survivors and local police forces. The U.S. head of state visited the historical St. Louis Cathedral to participate in the interfaith service. At the end of the homaging religious ceremony, Biden gave some remarks to the press. On Bourbon Street, locals set up a makeshift memorial. They left flowers and messages at the foot of the 14 crosses located at the incident site.
French Quarter is also home to so many people. We will support everyone who lives there, all the people of New Orleans, as they heal. And if there's one thing we know, New Orleans defines strength and resilience. You define it, whether it's in the form of this attack, or hurricanes or superstorms. This city and its people get back up.
In unity and hope, may this candle represent our country.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Palestine, a new attack by Israeli occupation forces killed at least 3 people on Monday night. The attack occurred in the Bureij refugee camp where victims, including 2 women, were killed after missiles struck the area. The exact number of people injured is still unknown, although local media reports confirm that among the wounded are minors who were rushed to Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, since the beginning of the genocide, the Israeli regime has perpetrated the death of more than 45,000 Palestinians, more than half of the victims being women and children. And in Palestine, at least 7 children died in the last weeks as a result of the cold, to which Israel condemns thousands of infants in the Gaza Strip. The Norwegian Refugee Council highlighted that at least 1 million Palestinians are threatened by the arrival of winter in the region due to the conditions imposed by Zionism in the precarious refugee camps. The United Nations Public Works and Relief Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Middle East warned in a statement that approximately 7,700 newborn babies are at risk of dying due to the low temperatures. Likewise, the Civil Defense Service in Gaza declared that the catastrophic humanitarian conditions pushed some 2 million displaced persons to live in tents unsuitable for protection against winter. And Yemeni Armed Forces spokesman Yahya Sari confirmed on Monday that they successfully attacked a nuclear-capable aircraft carrier of the United States. According to the Houthi forces, the tactical groups of their air force carried out a successful operation in the Red Sea. They claimed that the U.S. was preparing an attack which was aborted thanks to the successful air operation. In this context, the Yemeni government also reaffirmed its support for the Palestinian cause and reiterates that the Israelis will be able to rest only after the end of the genocide against Gaza and the recognition of the Palestinian state. On Tuesday, the president of Sao Tome and Principe, Carlos Villanova, announced the dismissal of government headed by Prime Minister Patrice Trovoada. According to the communication of the presidential office, the Prime Minister and his cabinet were not able to offer acceptable solutions. He's also accused frequent periods of absence that did not bring any benefit to the country. In a meeting with his cabinet prior to the announcement, President Villanova had already stated his opinion on the management he had dismissed. Sao Tome is the smallest country in Africa, located on the Gulf of Guinea. It is a strong cocoa producer facing a demanding internal context with great challenges in economic and financial matters. And in the western part of China, an earthquake of magnitude 7.1 left at least 95 people dead. The country's Seismic Network Center reported that a 7.1 earthquake struck western China near Nepal border, shaking Tingir County in the city of Chigasi at a depth of 10 kilometers. At least 95 people have been reported dead so far. In this context, images of the moments prior to the earthquake have been shared through social media. And a huge part of the United States was hit with ice, heavy snow, freezing rain, and wind from a major winter storm on Monday, leaving 5 people dead. The storm disrupted travel and work for millions of people from the Ohio Valley to the capital, Washington. The polar vortex that plunged south over the weekend kept much of the country east of the Rockies under frigid conditions, making many roads treacherous, forcing schools closures, caused widespread power outages, and flight cancellations. Around 175,000 users were without power from Missouri to Kentucky and Virginia, while more than 200,400 flights were canceled and thousands delayed. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.